Hey guys, welcome back to another Bee Swarm Simulator video, and today we're in Dapper Bear's shop because we're going to be talking all about planters. Now, planters are one of the best investments you can probably make in Bee Swarm, because once you buy them once, they'll start paying themselves off, excluding the paper planters, ticket planters, and festive planters, which are all single use. But yes, the most important fact is, apart from those three planters, every other planter in the game is reusable, and they'll pay themselves off because they often drop the items required to craft them. So use them enough times and you'll get your money back. So before we continue in the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you find this video useful. So first of all, where can you find planters? Planters can be bought in a variety of places. The first place you can buy planters is the paper planters in the 10B zone shop. And then a majority of the planters you'll be going for next will all be available in Dapper Bear's shop, and you have to have sufficient gear or else you won't think you're dapper enough to get in. So once you're in, you can try get some of these planters. They really are worth it. And some other places you can find planters are in the blue HQ with the blue clay planter and the hydroponic planter, and the red HQ with the red clay planter and the heat treated planter. Now for the heat treated and hydroponic planters, they cost half of the extracts required that you normally get for the colors tool. So if you're going for the tool because you're going to that hive color, don't get the hydroponic or heat treated until after you get the tool, because they're not going to pay themselves off in time. And the final place you can buy a planter is in the shop in the 35B zone, which is the petal planter. And if there's any other planters that arrive in the future, obviously I'll try and put them in the description of this video, but obviously can't show them in the video because they don't exist yet. When you have planters on the field, you can have up to 3 different planters on the field at once. You can't have multiple the same type of planter, which only really applies to the paper, ticket, and festive planters where you can actually obtain multiple copies of them. But still, you can only have 1 of each type of planter up at once, and you can only have 3 planters total. So for example, I have my blue clay planter, my pesticide planter, and my red clay planter planted, and I can't place any more. If I try and place another one, it'll tell me that I can only have 3 planters active at a time. So what do planters give you? When you harvest planters, they can give you a special buff called nectar. There's 5 different types of nectar, and they can stack up to 24 hours. As you can see, I have satisfying and comforting nectar at the moment. The type of nectar that you get from planters is based on what field it's planted in. So here's a handy little chart on screen right now that shows you what field you have to plant your planter in to get what type of nectar that you want, as well as showing what the stat buffs are for each type of nectar. You can speed up the growth of planters by standing in the field with them, although they still will grow if you're not in the field. When you are in the field, however, your bees, like for example my buoyant bee, they can sip on the planter's nectar, and that will give you a tiny bit of nectar, as well as speeding up the process of its growth by a little bit. Now another thing to note about your bees sipping nectar from planters is that the nectar that they sip and the amount that they speed up the planter is based on the bee's energy. So polar power can help make your nectar harvesting a bit more efficient. Shy Bee is actually more effective at sipping nectar from planters with its passive nectar lover. This bee is twice as likely to sip nectar from planters, and when it does, it gathers twice as much nectar. That's why I try and keep 1 Shy Bee in my hive at all times so I can keep my nectar topped up. You can also store your nectar in the nectar pot up in the 35B zone. It's opposite the RoboPass dispenser. It costs 5 tickets to put the nectar in, but it's free to claim your nectar back out of the pot at any time. And your nectar won't degrade or go down at all while it's in this pot. It will just be saved there, ready for when you want to grab it, especially for something like a boost. And as well as dropping nectar, these planters also drop items, which some planters tend to drop better items. And there are also specific fields that you can plant planters in to get specific items. And if you'd like me to make some YouTube shorts about these different locations you can put a planter in to get loot, make sure to comment below to tell me that you want those sort of videos. It's important to look at a planter's description because it will tell you what sort of items you can get and what sort of nectars they're better at getting. They also could grow faster in certain zones or near certain colours of flowers. There's also a planter chaining system, or if you take one planter and plant it in different fields, in a certain order, it will give you a special reward, and it usually takes 4 to 5 fields, stated by Onnit. And if there's any of those planter chains, I will also try and upload YouTube shorts of them if you guys want it. And another thing is, when you harvest a planter, so this plant is at 100%, harvest it, get some loot, this field will now be something called degraded. What this means is that if I were to try and put another plant on it, let's just say I put a plastic planter on this field, you'll see the bulb is all brown, not green like it was before. This is because the field's degraded, and this means that the speed that my plant will grow is slowed. The amount that a field degrades is based on how grown your previous planter was, so if you put a planter on and you let it fully grow, it's going to degrade the field a lot after you harvest it. So you can get a rotation going, and that will help you get more loot and more nectar at the maximum efficiency. So yeah, that's all about planters in Bee Swarm Simulator, summarized down to a quick, short video. If you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about planters that weren't answered in this video, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll add them to a Q&A section comment, so everyone else can quickly look at that if their question that isn't in this video was already answered by me in the comments.